I knew I wanted to work in sports when I got to college. I would say I was a huge fan of sports my whole life, but I never really thought of it as a business. I thought of it more as players and fans and coaches, but I didn't see the business aspect of sports until I was in college. And I was actually in the business school at my college, and another student told me about the sport management program at my school. Upon doing some more research and learning more about that program, I immediately changed my major out of the business school and into the sport management program, and fell in love with it. And I was interning the summer before my senior year with the New York Mets, in New York, and I was in their community relations department. And we got a letter from a fan. Her dad was battling cancer and he was a huge Mets fan, and they were coming to a game. So I was able to put together this little gift basket for them, different swag and memorabilia we had in our office, and I delivered it to them during the game at their seat. And I just remember the dad was like crying and hugging me, and the whole family was crying, and it was a really sweet moment. But really, that light bulb just went off for me, and I told myself, like, I could actually use my passion for sports to help other people and make a difference in communities. And that was when I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I've kind of just been chasing that feeling for my whole career.
I love that. That's really what it's about. You take care of the community takes care of you.
Yeah.
You mentioned internships,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned changing what steps that you wanted to take in school. So outside of the technical, like what steps did you have to take to be able to retain these internships, find yourself in these sports spaces?
Yeah, so I was told very early on, when you're majoring in sport management, everybody tells you, the industry is super competitive. You need to get experience, you need to meet people and network. It's kind of ingrained in you from day one of trying to work in the sports industry. And I think also inherently, as a woman and a woman of color, you're always trying to get ahead of the curve and be more impressive than other people that are coming for the same opportunities as you. So I kind of took all that energy and I applied for tons of internships when I was in college. I actually ended up doing 6 internships before I graduated from college, which is a lot, but it was, how I was able to really make a name for myself in this industry.
Turning your passion into a purpose. You mentioned being a woman of color in this space. Was there anyone that you looked up to from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of role models that I looked up to, especially when I was just starting out in college. One in particular I remember was Kim Ng, who is currently the general manager of the Miami Marlins. But as a fellow, Asian woman paving her way through the sports industry, I was always following what she was doing throughout her whole career in baseball. And specifically here at the NHL, we have a whole team of role models that I look up to, and people that have paved their own paths in this industry and are helping me kind of figure out my own way in hockey as well. And I'm really grateful for the leadership that we have even within this organization.
Mhm. You mentioned having to go the extra mile to be in the position that you're in now. You had the 6 internships as a woman of color, as a South Asian woman. What challenges have you encountered all on your journey?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge that I think I can think of for this scenario would be, making my career my own and really taking ownership of my own career has been something that's been really important for me. I kind of learned early on that I don't have time to wait for other people to give me the opportunities that I need to succeed in my career, and I need to create those opportunities for myself. And that's what I think I've done. I had several uh, positions at companies prior to my time here at the NHL where I got passed over for promotions or growth opportunities in those companies. And that's when I knew I could no longer stay there, right? Like, as soon as I can't see a way up for myself, I take the initiative to apply for more jobs and find a place where I can see myself growing and developing in this industry.
If you don't see room, make room.
Yeah.
You come from this place of conviction, which I really appreciate hearing as well. But at the same time, you've faced that adversity, not being able to advance. So, what do you put into practice when those challenges come up?
Yeah. You can't let yourself get down, right? Like everybody faces challenges in their life, and you have to come up with ways to overcome those that are unique and authentic to you. I mean, I've also faced many challenges, in the workplace and other positions that I've had prior to my time here, where I had to really confront a lot of biases, a lot of people underestimating me and my skills, or putting labels on me. As a woman of color, a lot of us experience in this industry. And I've really found that one of the most productive ways for me to combat those issues is to just have more conversations, instead of, getting very like angry and upset about certain things that happen to you. Kind of take that energy, take a deep breath, take a step back, and just have a conversation with somebody and really explain to them, like why what they thought correct and what your experiences really are. And just having that open, honest conversation for me has been really important, because more often than not, I have found that so many people have been so receptive to that conversation and so willing to learn and to grow. And it's actually created stronger relationships for me in the work that I do and the people that I work with. And I try to take that with me into, any situation that I come across.
You bring this perspective that is not only fresh as a young leader, but it's almost unique to this sport, being a woman of color, a diverse leader. And why do you think it's important to have more Paruls in the room?
Yeah, I mean, the cliche goes representation matters. And it's a cliche for a reason, because it's so true. And representation, can be big or small. I think a lot of us think that in order to have representation, you have to be like on the news and there has to be articles written about you and your success, but that's not true. Like you can represent your community just by getting involved in the sport in any way, shape, or form, whether it's as a fan, whether it's as a player, or as someone working in this industry.
It's one thing getting into the industry, and then it's another staying there and blossoming, feeling supported. So, what type of supports do you think need to be in place to create those sustainable trajectories where individuals can reach the next level in their organizations?
Yeah, I mean, something that's really important to me is sponsorship. Like women and people of color really need strong allies to support them in their journeys and to help clear the path for them to get those new opportunities or to get those promotions. They need people that in power currently to kind of help get them to that place where they can then, pave ways for future generations coming behind them. And for me, that's so important. And I've seen this even play out, in real life. I've seen here at the NHL, we have several women that are leading departments and are sitting at that top table within the organization. The leader of my department, Kim Davis, she's our Senior Executive Vice President of Social Impact, Growth, and Legislative Affairs. We also have, Heidi Browning, our Chief Marketing Officer, Susan Coig, who heads up our club business affairs, and just so many other women in our organization that are in leadership positions and are great role models for others in this industry.
South Asian involvement in hockey, it's becoming more prevalent with each season. You were at the LA Kings South Asian night as well. I've worked with Hockey Night Punjabi for several years now, and I have just seen the massive investment the community has made into the sport, not only from a fan level, but from a player level to sponsorships as well. What do you think this signals, and why do you think others should take note?
I mean, it's working, right? Like all the work that, we've been doing to help create more inclusive environments for all types of people is working, and more people are feeling comfortable getting into the sport, which is amazing. specifically, and maybe even more importantly for me, it shows that South Asians feel like they belong in this sport, and they should, because they do. We all belong in this sport, and we should really get involved as much as we can. Like I said before, the more South Asian representation we can get in the sport of hockey, the more inclusive the sport is ultimately going to become. So there's a responsibility for all of us to get involved in the sport, whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, whether you work in the industry, whether you volunteer with the local youth hockey organization, whatever it is that you do within the sport of hockey is going to help create that more inclusive culture that we're all striving for, because our motto is that hockey is for everyone, and it's true. And we're really excited to see, so many communities really living that motto today, and embracing it in their own ways.
You mentioned one of my favorite words, responsibility. Social responsibility, especially. I think that's one of the greatest qualities that any individual can have, not only at a professional level, but personal as well. So what qualities do you think the leaders of today need to have to help the following generation succeed tomorrow?
Yeah, for me, it's two main qualities that I think leaders today need to have. One is empathy. Leaders really need to understand the people that they're leading, what their experiences are, what issues they're facing, what's happening in the world right now that relates to their communities. And that's just going to be so important for them to effectively lead people. And two, it really is courage. Like leaders today need to be agents of change. They need to challenge the status quo. They need to fight for what they believe in. They need to fight for other people. And they need to really be those strong role models that others are looking to them to be. And, if you do both of those things, I think that we would be in a really good place.
So if anyone wants to get involved with the NHL, where should they go?
I mean, many places. The first place I would go is our NHL career site. If you're interested in a career within the NHL league offices, it's nhl.com/careers. We have, business opportunities all across our league office in Canada and in the US, whether, you do finance, whether you do tech, whether you're creative, there's really a place for anyone to work in this industry. You can also, look at your local NHL club's careers page, look at a pro league like the CHL or a youth league like Hockey Canada. Any way that you can get involved in hockey is going to be really beneficial for the sport overall.